What's up, Flannelverse? We're back for another NBA show. This is sponsored by Unabated. We're going to start by going over some Unabated pick'em stuff. The check out what Unabated likes today for DraftKings Pick6, for Underdog, whatever. You know, if you have something else you want me to look at, happy to do so using the Unabated tools. But I have a special guest here with me today. Davis Mattek is joining us. Davis from the Davis Mattek YouTube channel. You might recognize him from there. Looks kind of like the logo. Davis, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great. I drafted like 3 buzzer beaters last night, and then I was like, my head is going to be in a total pickle. So I'm just waiting. And I knew I had like other stuff to do today. So I'm excited to dive in. I am loading right now the unabated rankings into my draft applet. And I'm excited to see what all the chaos after the trade deadline looks like.
Sorry, you drafted 3 buzzer beaters. What is a buzzer beater?
Buzzer beater is the $3 one. So normally the night before on Underdog, they'll have the layup line and the buzzer beater, but the buzzer beater is $2,000 for first place and the layup line is $1,000 first place. So normally if it's open, I will do the buzzer beater instead.
Nice. Okay. So you've got some of those already loaded. We got, kind of a fun NBA trade deadline, which we can talk about.
Oh, kind of fun. What are your standards, Neil?
Yeah, so it was more fun like 2 days ago. Like the fun really happened before the deadline. Today, actually, still pretty fun. Yeah, you're right though. This was maybe the most exciting trade deadline of my lifetime. Like, can you think of a better trade deadline?
That's what I was just thinking. I was like, what was a better one?
Yeah. No, you're right. You're right. This is as good as it gets.
Well, did Durant never got traded at the deadline? Every time Durant got traded, it was before. The Nets trade and the Suns trade were both either in the summer or before. So maybe it's hard to not be prisoner of the moment, but you had first team All NBA guy get traded. You have Jimmy Butler, in terms of brand recognition, he's pretty high, right?
Yeah.
In the NBA. You had all the marquee franchises involved. About the only team that didn't get involved was the Celtics in terms of marquee. I guess the Knicks ended up not. The Knicks, just the second apron. Pardon my French. The second apron is stupid. It ended up not happening. But the thing that the NBA has over the NFL and over Major League Baseball is people care so much about the player movement. So you should be encouraging player movement. You should be encouraging trades. And the second apron makes it so much harder to do that.
I'll admit I don't understand the second apron. It's something that I've heard people talk about, but I don't really know what it means. Contracts, not something I've ever really gotten into as just a typical fantasy sports player who doesn't do dynasty stuff. And I'm in some Timberwolves chats where people will bring up contract stuff sometimes, and I've just yeah, I'll just wait until the trade happens and then I'll care about whoever they get, but I don't speculate on who the Timberwolves might trade for all that much. Seems like you have a pretty good handle on it for both NFL and NBA. I know you did some show recently where you were talking about this, the NBA structures and what teams would need to do to be able to make this trade happen. They need to include this player.
That's how I engaged with the NBA. I engage with the NBA like a fan, because it's so hard. Salary cap DFS is so hard. Really for MMEing and everything. I am excluded from that world. I play one team a night on DraftKings for tier credit grinding.
Nice.
But I love the NBA. The NBA is probably my favorite sport. If the roles were reversed and NFL was the niche sport and NBA was the one that had all the money, I would be more than happy to make that trade-off. I think basketball is the perfect sport. I think it's a great league. I love all the personalities. And so I love to get into the minutia of RJ Barrett, his salary is actually descending. So it makes sense for him. I love the NBA minutia.
Interesting. So I feel and maybe I'm wrong about this, but my idea, my impression of Davis Mattek is you're an NFL guy. I think most people would they know you as an NFL guy. You do a lot of fantasy football content, but I also I get typecast as an NFL guy, which I'm actually probably a bigger fan, or No, I'm a longer term fan of the NFL, I suppose, but like I'm a bigger fan of the Timberwolves than any other sports team, for sure. So like I consider myself kind of like equal parts NFL, NBA. Like I just like sports, but like people think of me like when I do NBA shows, I often get the comment like, "Oh, we've got an NFL guy doing an NBA show." Like it's like this
Yeah,
weird thing that I'm doing NBA. And I'm like, I have literally 150,000 entries lifetime in NBA DFS contests. Like I'm
right.
obsessed with NBA DFS. So I think you also like maybe I typecast you as an NFL guy. Do you think that that is like your general like people's perception of you is mostly an NFL guy?
For sure, but that's just because that is what gets the eyeballs. That's what that I
Yeah,
mean, NFL DFS has the biggest prize pools. I mean, how many NFL best ball contests do they run versus the one double
right.
dribble contest on Underdog? And if the market moved that way, I would be happy to move that way. Maybe if you were like the smartest NBA guy on earth, you could make a living doing that and then doing NBA content.
Right.
um, I mean, weirdly, the NBA content streets are rich, but not for gambling. Like there are a billion
True.
independent NBA podcasts that like people make their. I mean, fucking JJ Redick was an NBA podcaster. That was his
Right.
job before he was the head coach of the Lakers. But people seem to really engage with the NBA just as fans, like without gambling. Honestly, is kind of what it feels like to me.
Yeah, no, I think that that is pretty true. I'm kind of shocked that Nate Lowe, I guess he probably has like a non-compete at this point, so maybe that has to expire, but like he has not started up his own podcast, which kind
It's
of
got to
blows my
be a
mind.
12-month non-compete. It's got to be the only explanation. Yeah.
Yeah. And I honestly, I have not listened to it much other than like when there's a specific thing, like when people have been, oh, you got to listen to this episode. Haven't listened to a ton of Nate Lowe, but like I've been trying to get more and more into podcasts in general. That's when people keep bringing up of like, oh, that was like the high watermark of NBA podcasts was Nate Lowe. So hopefully that comes back at some point. Um, Tokyo Swan said, sad the Mavs franchise self-deleted to move to Vegas. We talked about this when you were doing a stream. I was in the comments like, I don't really think that's what happened. The Texas legislature theory doesn't make a ton of sense to me from
No,
like a
I
real
think
life perspective. That's like fanfic.
it is because it's just like the Kennedy assassination or whatever, where it's like the truth is actually much dumber. And the
Yeah,
truth is that Nico Harrison, there's actually a great article about this that Ethan Sherwood-Strauss wrote. Nico Harrison really was never meant to be a player personnel GM. It was kind of just one of these things. It's sort of just an accident. That basically, if you ever heard of the Peter principle, that basically an
the
organization
Peter
will be
principle. Okay,
the organization. Here, I'll just read it from Wikipedia. The Peter Principle is a concept of management which observes that people in a hierarchy tend to rise to a level of respective incompetence. And basically, the Mavs were just incompetent, and they were going through organizational upheaval. And Nico Harrison ended up being the GM, and is basically made terrible move after terrible move after terrible move. The one thing people pointed to was the move at the deadline where they got Gafford last offseason. That totally changed their season. Guess what? They wanted Kuzma, and the Wizards said no. The
oh, that's
Wizards would
funny.
not meet their asking price on Kuzma. And they kind of just lucked in to this, like, oh, we're going to grit and grind. We're going to play defense, and it's Luka's going to score 33 points a night. And frankly, they lucked in to Kyrie Irving as well. I mean, think of all the machinations that had to happen to get Kyrie Irving at that price to be a backcourt mate, and got lucky that Kyrie has mostly been a model citizen in Dallas.
True. Yeah,
You
it's
know,
gone pretty well from that perspective. By the way, do you have an NBA team that you root for?
yeah, the Oklahoma City Thunder. So
Oh, of course.
they moved to Oklahoma City in Kevin Durant's sophomore season. The Pelicans were actually there for a season the year, but I think they were not called the Pelicans then. They were there,
The
and
Hornets at the time.
yes, correct, yeah. And so they were there for a year in Oklahoma City because the Smoothie King Arena is what they call it now was flood. They couldn't play; it got destroyed by the floods. So they were in Oklahoma City for a year. Yeah. So so many of my great sports memories are actually in college and in high school watching the Durant, Westbrook, Harden, Ibaka Thunder
What could have
teams.
been? What could have been with those teams? I was not really an NBA fan yet at that point. Like I think I think they may have still been together right when I started watching the NBA in like 2013, but like
That would have Harden was gone.
Harden was, yeah, okay, that makes sense.
No, that would have been, you would have been maybe the year he got traded, actually.
That yeah, and I just didn't really know the players that well at that point, so it was like I didn't understand what they had. I guess nobody really understood at that point exactly how great that trio was in particular. Ibaka, great also, but not quite to the same level. I don't think anybody really knew what they had at that point, but looking back on it, pretty insane. Mike Robb says the amount of well-kept hair on this stream is alarming. That has to be only referring to you because I am fully bald under this cap. So
People like they like the beard. They like the beard, Neil.
Oh yeah, I've got a pretty well kept. It is freshly shaved, so I guess you can include that as a well kept hair on this stream. Also, Serge Ibaka name drop, not on your. Yeah, he's a guy, Serge Ibaka. I'm trying to remember. He was a kind of an interesting person off the court also, but I don't remember. I remember reading some stories about him. I think I forget. I'm not going to even speculate on what I read, but pretty interesting.
I mean, he was literally from the war torn Congo. Dude,
I feel like there was like some heartwarming story about like his daughter or something that I read, but I'm like, I could just be making it up at this point.
His father was a political prisoner during the Second Congolese War.
Wow.
Yeah. He really lived. I mean, he was teammates. He was on the Raptors team. He was on the Kawhi Raptors team. Actually, one of my favorite Serge Ibaka, Kawhi Leonard moments is Serge was doing, yes, Noah mentions it. Serge had this cooking show where they did exotic foods, and he's talking to Kawhi Leonard on this show. And he's like, oh, who's your all-time like crush or whatever? And he's like, for you or a normal person, you can say that. But for me, I can't say that because I'm one of the most famous people in the world. Like I can't say, oh, Sydney Sweeney is my celebrity crush because I might see Sydney Sweeney tomorrow night. And
if you're dating somebody, like for him, if he's dating somebody, they can get like legitimately jealous of like,
yes,
well, what if you meet her? Like, yeah,
exactly.
That is funny. Totally different scenario for them. Anything else on this trade deadline before we get into some unabated picks?
A really weird one. Why did the Raptors trade for Brandon Ingram? I guess they think they don't want to tank.
You look at their starting lineup. It's like that's a damn good starting lineup. So like
I think we're colored by fantasy for that though.
True.
Because RJ Barrett's good for fantasy, Barnes is great for fantasy, Jakob Poeltl's great for fantasy. Quickly when he starts is really good. But I guess it's this thing that happens to all teams. You don't have a star, you just can't really be that good.
But now they're like the Kansas City Chiefs of NBA DFS, where it's like they're all like good for fantasy, but it's going to be unpredictable. Like week to week, who is going to be the guy who scores? Maybe the Chiefs are becoming less of that again, but kind of that or Bills, like the gross situation where it's just like there's too many. They're going to spread it around too much. Hard to guess who's going to score game to game. So frustrating for DFS. I have honestly not looked closely at the slate that we're on right now. I'm going to, of course, bring in the unabated projections into Rotogrinders LineupHQ. We're going to look at both Rotogrinders and unabated projections for this slate, position by position, as usual. After we take a brief look at the unabated pick'em stuff, which I believe should be up now. So I will pull that up. We can see what is on. I've heard that unabated stuff works really well with Underdog Pick'em specifically. They've had a really great track record there. So I'm going to start there. Unabated projections.
That would make sense.
Yeah.
Because Underdog, I would imagine, moves their NBA stuff a little slower.
Okay.
So that would make sense.
Nothing standing out as far as like huge edges for any of the top bets. It is, the top one we get is a higher on assists for Kawhi Leonard. Always nice when you can bet a higher here. So higher than 2.5 assists for Kawhi Leonard, 62% probability.
I've actually noticed that you get hires relatively often in this tool. And I think it's I mean, like everyone knows this, it's about projecting minutes. And if you just have a 3-minute different stance on Dorian Finney-Smith from, I mean, honestly, I would assume that Unabated probably just copies what ETR puts out. And so if SBK and Justin and John have a difference of opinion with Drew and Mike Gallagher, this is your spot to be able to do it, which you'll get frequently. You know, our friend Adam Scherer from Endgame Syndicate, he does like his own projections, and he'll say things in the Endgame Discord about just being like, well, this is wrong. Like this assumption that the industry is making is just wrong.
Yeah, no, he takes those stances all the time. I've been doing a little bit more of that recently. Now that I'm getting into NBA content, like I never really tried to do that on my own in past years because I would just listen to actually Adam's content a lot of the time. I'm like, well, he's pretty good at like knowing where there's fragility in the minutes, which is kind of what I'm looking for in content a lot of the time. This is the first year that I'm like actually looking at rotations and sometimes being like, we're projecting for 24 minutes, and that's like his floor over the past 6 games. And I don't know, taking some of those stances. But yeah, I mean, that's like it's such a big thing projecting minutes for DFS, and obviously it's the same thing for pick'em stuff. So that's kind of fun though. Getting that Kawhi some nice edge on the Kawhi pick. Got Tari Eason, and this one lower than 13.5 points plus assists, has a 60.5% probability of hitting 12.3% edge if you combine those two. I'm just going to add a few here.
These Curry lowers have got to be printing. Curry's like the most over projected guy in fantasy right now. Every night,
they're going to be missing players tonight, so
he just doesn't. When is the last time Steph played more than like 37 minutes?
Yeah, fair. Okay, so I guess we take the points plus assists instead of points plus rebounds plus assists for Steph here. Sometimes I like to take like when I feel better about it, I'll just take the one that has more stats involved, where it's like it's you can kind of feel like there's like more safety in the edge. Yeah.
No, I do the same thing. A lot of what you'll see is steals and blocks when you do these, and it's like, oh great, I took the steals under that had a 9% edge, but he just happened to get a second steal. Chris Paul threw the ball away. Amen Thompson threw the ball away, and I lose.
Yep. Kanua's dad says he shot 31 shots. Is that true? He shot 31 shots the last game. I mean, that's not something you can expect most games. But yeah, that's kind of insane.
And he scored 32 points. 32 points on 31 shots for Steph Curry.
Well, we'll throw one of these in here, and obviously, I guess both of these do have points in them, so we can't avoid with the top Curry ones. But you could, if you prefer, go lower. No, sorry, that's still points. Points included in all of the Steph props here. Dorian Finney-Smith looks good, higher than 8.5 points. There's a 59% edge there. Combine these four, we're up to 32% total edge.
He should play. He should get extra minutes tonight because they traded Connect and one other guy who gets some garbage minutes, and he would theoretically get some garbage either way.
True. Yeah, I forget who the other player they traded was. Connect was the bigger one. I'll throw in the Steph Curry lower points plus assists. This is not like sometimes you'll see edge of like 150% in here. So 56%, not the biggest edge here, but still nice to see that you can put this card together, actually have some edge on it on Underdog. And I'll throw this up on Underdog right now. Make the card.
Neil, do you stream in Firefox or in Chrome?
Chrome.
Yeah.
Typically. If I'm using, actually I don't know if it's still the case that you can only
use the Sidekick in Firefox.
Yeah.
So I have to do the same thing. Yeah.
I thought that might change at some point, but not yet. All right, I'm gonna go Kawhi. I'm just gonna make this one card here, just because we don't have. Sometimes I'll like if there are a lot of different.
Ooh, I have a no sweat token that I can use here. I'm gonna toss in Kyrie higher P plus R plus A in mine.
All right. What's the line for Kyrie?
34.5. Right. Jonas Valanciunas is going to be active tonight. That's kind of interesting against Portland.
Was he just traded yesterday?
Yes. Yeah.
Wow. All right, so I'm doing those two: Kawhi, Tari Eason, Austin Reeves, PRA.
Of course. Why wouldn't it be Austin Reeves?
Yeah.
Kind of thought he would get traded, actually.
It's lower, right? Yeah, kind
thought
of surprised that he wasn't. Were you surprised that the Thunder didn't make any moves at the deadline?
No, because the only move they would have made would have been a seismic move. They're already like the deepest team in the NBA. So acquiring, like, they got Daniel Tice as like a backup center for nothing. But the only move they would have made would been like trading back for Kevin Durant or getting in. I was arguing about this with the aforementioned Adam Scherer. I think the much better deal for the Mavericks would have been whatever Oklahoma City could have offered with Jalen Williams as the centerpiece. And I mean, in that trade, just to make the salaries work, they probably would have gotten Dort and Aaron Wiggins. So Luka for like 5 first-round picks, Jalen Williams, Aaron Wiggins, and Lou Dort. I think that money just about works. I mean, I just think that is so much better of a deal. I know that's not what they wanted to do. Like, they clearly want to try and there's a relationship between Nico Harrison and Anthony Davis or whatever, but I thought that was a much better deal. And I think Oklahoma City would have done it. I think they would have been like, we will figure it out later. We'll get Luka, we'll have Shea, and we will just totally figure this out later.
Sorry, can you go over the parameters of the deal again? They would have traded what for Luka?
Luka Doncic for Lou Dort, Aaron Wiggins, good Jalen Williams, and like 4 first-round picks. And the Oklahoma City has some good first-round picks too. So they have a Clippers 2029 that looks like it should be pretty good. They have I want to say a Philly lottery. They I mean, obviously their picks are not that valuable, but they have some good ones. And I think they maybe have a Jazz one from a Derek Favors salary dump that the Jazz did.
They have so many. It's unfair.
Yeah, I mean, it's unbelievable how many they have.
I'm in one of my Timberwolves group chats, and I have not kept up with it over the past 24 hours, but I saw people speculating they were going to trade Chet. I was like, there's no way. Like, why would they trade Chet? I guess if they're going for it all this year, he hasn't been playing, so maybe. But that would have shocked me if they did trade Chet. But yeah, I mean, Luka and Shea together would just be unfair, like, for years. That would have been fun. All right. So the card that I made here, using the Unabated tool, higher than 2.5 assists for Kawhi Leonard, lower than 13.5 points plus assists for Tara Eason, lower than 33.5 points plus rebounds plus assists for Austin Reeves, higher than 8.5 points for Dorian Finney-Smith, and lower than 31.5 points plus assists for Steph Curry. I put $50 on this one to potentially win 920. Kind of a lot to put on a 5-pick card. I don't always do this big of cards, but I think I'm just going to do this one today. So put a little bit more money on this one. If you want to tail, that's the pick. Anything else that I should look at with the Unabated tools? They also have their DFS projections, which I am going to put in. Takes a minute to put them into the RG optimizer, because they have to like do all the name checking and stuff. But before I do that, anything else that you think I should take a look at here, Davis? Have you done much of the NBA stuff with Unabated?
Yeah, I mean, pretty much every night I will, because they're doing a big push in Missouri right now, so I get a lot of like sweat-free, profit boost type stuff, and so I will just fire whatever the top 3 or 4 or 5 Unabated plays and live. We hit one. I did a hoop stream yesterday, and we hit one.
Nice.
It was like a really stupid one, or maybe that was last week that we hit it. But we hit one, whichever one. And then I don't know if you know this. If you use Gambly, it is linked to Unabated, so you can just ask it. So you could just ask Gambly. You can just say, what are the best underdog fantasy Unabated DFS pick'em picks tonight, and it'll give you the highest edge ones.
Interesting. I have never used Gambly. Maybe something I need to check out at some point.
I mean, it's brand new.
Yeah, I've heard of it. I've heard, it's Bales, right?
Bales and Mr. Cal Spears.
Oh, right. Yeah. I mean, seems cool. Yeah, I'm looking around at the other picks, and currently nothing like really jumping out. Like, it does seem like Underdog had the best picks available. I guess part of it is because
the Anthony Edwards higher threes anytime they're in a really competitive game I really like. He absolutely goes chuck. Same for Shea, by the way. Shea against the Celtics, against the Nuggets, just any of these like really high end matchups. They chuck.
Yeah, just gonna get those shots off.
I remember the first. I don't remember if it was the Nuggets or if it was the Rockets, but Shea attempted 10 3-pointers in the first half. In one of their games, in one of their games early this season, because they just made an organizational decision this offseason. They're like, one, we want you to win MVP, but two, we need you to be a 37% high volume 3-point shooter.
I mean, it's kind of league wide, right? Like everybody's just chucking threes this year.
Edwards, I think Edwards is taking 10.5 per game after taking like 4 per game. Or I mean, that's your boy.
Yeah, he's chucking. I went to the game last night, and I don't know if you were paying attention to that one, but he was at like 48 points with like minutes to go, and like we're all of course cheering that he's for him to get 50. He goes to the free throw line, misses his first free throw, so he gets to 49. I think he like shot 4 more times after that and did not make it. Got stuck at 49, so that was frustrating for Ant. He was definitely in like, I want to get to 50 points mode, and at one point it looked like they were gonna call a foul and he was going to go to the line, and then they called traveling on him instead. It was a very, very frustrating game for those of us at the game, hoping for Ant to get to 50 last night.
Did you go last night?
I did, yeah. Like ultimate nosebleeds last night. There was actually a deal, the Sezzle, which I don't even know what they do, but they're on the Wolves jerseys. They had you can buy tickets for $1 last night, like way up in the nosebleeds. So a few of my friends and I bought $1 tickets for the nosebleeds.
NBA games are fun in the nosebleeds. I've done good seats. I've done nosebleeds, as long as it's not like a dog shit game.
Yeah.
It's normally pretty fun.
No, I agree. I have my season tickets with a different group of friends so I go like 8 regular season games, and then I go to however many playoff games they have every year. And we're in the second level, and it's like the seats are awesome. You can see everything that's going on the court just fine. So yeah, I kind of like these were like really high up there, like not just second level, but like way up. But yeah, no, it was a good time. All right, so I'm going to, and I'll show people where you can get the unabated projections if you are signed up for Unabated, and I'll just give a shout out to the Unabated product. This is my first year using Unabated, and I've been super impressed. They give you Discord updates anytime they update their projections. They'll say, we've updated for the Lakers starting lineup, we've updated for the news that Kyrie is sitting, or whatever the news is that comes out. If a player is sitting, they update that. They let you know that they've updated that in their Discord. And it's, to me, that's something that I've always kind of wanted. Just like, I want a change log of like, when are you changing projections? Why are you changing projections? Particularly after lock, it's kind of frustrating sometimes to not know, like, do I need to go make changes? Like, you get a starting lineup. Was that the assumption in the projections that this was the starting lineup, the projection that I'm using? Do I need to make changes, or is this all accounted for? So yeah, highly recommend the Unabated product if you have not already checked it out. They also have conditional projections, so you can particularly like if there's a late game and we don't know if a player is going to play or not, you can click on the conditional projections, this player's in, this player's out, and that can be pretty helpful. Also, I don't know if Davis, have you used that at all for the underdog drafts? Because that to me seems like I when I first talked to them, I was like, this seems like ideal for drafting like early in the day, where it's like just knowing, drafting for this scenario with this player in, this player out. You have done that a bit.
100%. Yeah, you just check the conditionals and see with the conditional out. You do it two ways. You see, would the conditional replacement be draftable in the 6th round, basically,
right?
Or is it worth it taking a round 2 Zion? What is his conditional in out projection?
Yeah. Let's see who are in the conditional as of right now. The only 3 in their conditional projections that you can click on or off are KCP, Aaron Gordon, and Jamal Murray. So kind of impactful. So that is something you can play around with. I am just going to go with the standard projections here, and I'm going to upload them into Rotogrinders LineupHQ. We can take a look at some of the projections there. So let me pull that up.
The best thing that they have right now is the biggest edge I think you can gain from these games, from these projections, is actually in the underdog games, because everyone drafts off ETR. some people just draft straight off ETR. Some people have their RNG, sim, whatever. They have their own process. But the best thing you can do is if you download the unabated projections, you can just chat GPT name match. Like you just download the CSV, then download the ranking CSV and do the name match, and then just upload them right into the draft applet.
Oh, interesting. All right, I'm gonna have to. I'll probably message you for instructions on how to do that, because that seems really useful.
If trust me, dude, if I can figure it out, anyone can. I am an absolute idiot when it comes to technological anything.
Yeah, I'm really I'm kind of a noob when it comes to Excel, which probably surprises people sometimes, that I'm like, I've never done my own projections, anything like that. I'm messing with the see if I can get this to work on the first try. Putting the unabated projections in here.
Look at this techno wizard, guys.
That's right. They can't see what I'm doing. I'm because I'm only sharing my window. Did it work? Fingers crossed. Yeah, it worked. All right. So there's 19 issues. Not too bad. Just naming stuff here. So Kristaps.
They Unabated doesn't use like accent marks, or so like Nikola Jokic doesn't have the whatever. So Serbian players get messed, like Eastern European players get messed. Vlatko, there you go.
Yep.
A lot of them get messed up, and then the juniors.
Yep.
Like Jaren, like in the unabated sheet, Jaren Jackson Jr. is just Jaren Jackson.
I think I've done this with ETR too, though, and you still, like, regardless of what I've uploaded, I've run into issues.
Yes, there are always name match issues. I don't think Neil will probably not be timestamping live in no time best ball on call, because he doesn't even listen to me about turning monetization on his streams, which, by the way, Neil, my entire chat told me this morning, like everyone, like probably 100 people this morning told me they've never seen an ad on my channel.
I just saw Tom from the Fantasy Sanctuary was kind of saying the opposite, that like the ads after, like, so I think when you are live streaming, it's not a huge issue, but then after you're done, if you do something that's like people are going to watch later, then he was showing that they had like tons of ads, like every 2 or 3 minutes.
Yeah. That is what people were saying too, is they were saying they got ads on replay, but not ads during. So then I changed the setting to do the aggressive ad display instead of, there's 3 settings: conservative, moderate, and aggressive. And I said, all right, you guys just ratted yourselves all out. So I'm now doing the aggressive setting. And then they said that they started to get served the ads.
Yeah. All right. Well, that is a good note. Honestly, I've thought about doing it. I haven't even turned on monetization for like memberships, which I think is like the first step, is just turning on, like, having some sort of a membership level where people can get something for signing up. I do have like super chats on, and I've gotten some of those. Actually, I've had so much issues with YouTube, like monetization, getting paid. I feel like every few weeks I get a new error message of like, you need to give us tax information. You need to, and I'm like, I've already done this a million times. But it is a little
finicky. You have to verify though. They literally mail you a code.
Yeah.
They literally in the mail, they send you a code. It's very funny.
It feels like a rebate where they're like trying to trick you. Like, I was like, are they ever actually going to pay me? So now that so the point I'm going to do, now that they have actually paid me, I'm like, all right, that was kind of nice. Like, keep getting this influx of money. Like, maybe I should turn on some sort of monetization for the channel.
You should turn on ads, and you should turn on memberships, and like a special channel in your Discord or something or whatever.
Yeah, no, I definitely should. All right, so I have inputted, and you can see I need to figure out how to clean this up in LineupHQ, because looking at my options, I have unabated projections, unabated new, unabated. I assume that this last one is the most recent. Actually, I want to see what happens if I click unabated new, which I know is not this one. Huh. All right, so I don't know what which of these is the actual one that I just switched to. So I probably need to figure out how to clean that up. Let's see.
ChatGPT will help you.
Will it?
It's theoretically you could say, hey, down, or like, I guess, I don't know. I've never done it in LineupHQ.
Okay.
But I've only done it for for Underdog, but I just say, hey, do a fuzzy match, which I don't even know what that means, but I just know from people helping me with spreadsheets in years past, fuzzy match basically means like it's a fuzzy match. So Jaren Jackson's probably Jaren Jackson Jr.
Okay.
And Luka Doncic with that accent mark is probably Luka Doncic.
That is helpful.
Yeah.
All right, I'm going to remove this for now, and I'm going to try to do this again. Apologies, because that was too. It's giving me anxiety to not know if I have actual projections in there from Unabated. And since I've already updated this should go. Yeah, this is easy. So I think we're good. So now I can use Unabated projections.
I'm curious because I have one DraftKings lineup that I still have to set, but I've done a couple Underdog drafts while we're talking. It's always funny to see like, oh, dude, Naz Reid is total chalk, or like Brandon Pajemski's total chalk on DraftKings, but like is undraftable on in the you're only trying to find the 6 highest scoring players of the night. You don't care about value.
The min price 20-point fantasy point. Yeah.
Yeah. Cam Whitmore, useless.
Yeah.
It's very funny.
Well, I have it sorted by projections. So let's see if it changes at all. So I have RG projections in there right now, and it's Joker, LeBron, Tatum, Sabonis, Ant. Joker, LeBron, Tatum, Sabonis, Ant. Now I'll switch to Unabated.
It's a terrible spot for
Joker, LeBron,
Ant,
Tatum.
really.
All right. So it is the same 5. Did the projections change? Tatum 49 for Unabated. Tatum 40. Oh, but I think some of the others changed. All right, 65.61 for Joker.
This is the glorious life of a DFS semi-professional, folks, that you're getting to witness right now. A lot of name matching, a lot of using other people's tools. It's beautiful.
Oh, there we go. I had to reset the RG stuff. So they have Joker, LeBron, Tatum, and Harden. I'm so confused right now. All right. Okay. Yeah. But this is wait, I have Unabated in there now. Crap. All right. There we go. All right. So we are seeing different. I don't know what I had to do there. But now we're seeing so Joker 60.21 for RG. I'm gonna double check my stuff real quick here. Sorry, this is great television when I'm constantly double checking myself, but I want to make sure that I have this all in there correctly. And
I mean, yeah, there's not really going to be a more tilting outcome in DFS than realizing you like didn't have a player in that you needed. Like, oh shit, my stuff didn't have Brandon Pajemski, so I ran 150 like stone dead lineups. You don't want that.
No. 62. Okay, good. So these are the correct Unabated projections. Good. I gave myself a little scare there for a second, but we do have the correct stuff in here for Unabated. Wait, but Davis, I do have to ask, do you timestamp in real time? Like, do you like go in, like have a separate window open? I've heard of people doing that, and it has never occurred to me to try to timestamp my videos while I'm doing them.
I mean, you wouldn't need to do this one because it's gonna be dust in an hour.
Yeah.
But for best ball drafts or anything that has a shelf life, I just do it in real time. Like I'll sit and be like, all right, and the StreamYard window says 38 minutes, 15 seconds. And so I'm saying draft number 2 starts now.
Okay. That's a really good idea. I think people, the fantasy points guys started doing that this year. And I was like, oh, that's kind of an intriguing idea. I didn't know that anybody actually did that. Chris says Neil, perfect fit for Endgame because I'm so technologically advanced. I'm just like Nerdy Tenor. You can see me adjusting names in a column. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So the two things that I like to look at here, and I'm going. Oh, actually, I should. I have this fancy new sidebar here. But maybe Davis, we've only got you for another 15 minutes or so. So maybe we don't want to go in the exact order to start. Maybe we should just try to get an overview of the slate. Look at some of the best plays. Look at some of the best values. Do you have any hot takes among the? And I'll just sort by the top projected here. So we have Joker against Orlando. And that game has
he's going to be like 6% owned tonight. So anytime a guy who's averaging a triple double, and there are a couple cheap guys, we have Pajemski, the Warrior centers, like a couple guys you can get Mr. Jokic. If I was playing 150 tonight, I'll tell you one thing I would do. I would do the Scoot Henderson, Anthony Simons, Shaden Sharp roulette. I'd be like, I would boost those guys all up a little bit. And they're all so annoying now. They're all playing like between 28 and 31 minutes a night. Simons plays the most, but he's the worst because he generates no peripherals. He only shoots. And Scoot does a little bit of periffing, but not much. I guess Shaden gets some steals. But Zach LaVine, Neil, is truly one of the worst defenders in NBA history, and was one of the worst defenders before he even lost his knee. He
on the
cannot
Timberwolves, he was terrible.
He was, I mean, he actually, I was looking this up on my stream yesterday because I remember this was something that Empire Maker told me that like LaVine games were just like LaVine against any super ball dominant guard. They were like generational bet the over in those game spots. So I would do some Portland guard roulette. That would be one of my big ones tonight.
Would you have a rule of exactly one? Like if you were 150 max or like max 2 of 3 or what would you?
So I would have a hard time doing min 1 because
could just be a blowout.
It's just like I just thinking about like creating rules. You just group yourself out of the nuts really easy.
Yeah.
Probably what I would do is I would just I would just boost all their projections by like 1.5 points. Probably is what I would do. Not very scientific, but if you're not going to run a sim, then I think that is the best way. Like just so for example, some of the guards that are going to be like stone chalk tonight, like Peyton Pritchard or Pajemski, very limited ceilings on like, what's the most Pajemski can get in a game? Like 38 maybe?
Yeah. I don't know that I've seen, I haven't been playing enough to see the Pajemski ceiling game. So I don't really know, but that sounds about right.
So I just would think about like something I like to do is just look at some of the most fragile chalk and just be like, okay, how does that chalk fail? And then, so what should I be wanting to do at that position? Another great one is small forward, where Dorian Finney-Smith, I think, is going to get owned a good bit. You could toss Denny Avdija in there actually as well. Because he plays a good bit. And then I just always like Amen Thompson. Amen Thompson.
He's been so good.
He's so good. Yeah. Oh, there you go. Pajemski got 45 yesterday.
Did he really?
So there you go. I mean, he had to have played a gazillion minutes.
Oh, that's right. No, I did play him.
Night.
I forgot about that. Yeah, that was one where it was like, they traded all their guys and suddenly it became like an awesome value.
29, 6-4 in 40 minutes against Utah.
Yeah, that was fun. Did not help me to make money yesterday. I did lose money on the slate. I had a ton of DeAndre Hunter yesterday and felt awesome about it. But if you did not predict that Giannis was going to be scratched 5 minutes.
You didn't play Bobby Portis and Dame. Sorry, bud. Yeah, you lose.
So that was a tough one, but got to a little bit of Podziemski. I also because I was at the Timberwolves game, I think that was probably a factor. I just played all the Timberwolves, and I think that news came out while I was at the game, so too late to swap off some of my Timberwolves for some of the Golden State value, unfortunately. Buddy Hield. So I'm sorted right now by fantasy points per dollar. So the best value plays as of right now, Podziemski is the top value play of the slate, projected for 31 fantasy points at 4,400. Buddy Hield right there again, also 4,200, projected for 26 fantasy points. So some decent value here. Jared Vanderbilt up there, not as good of a chalk when he's projected for sub 20 fantasy points. Kevon Looney right there. So though your Blazers guys, not the best like point per dollar projections. Actually Simon's up here, not that bad.
Simon's showing up, yeah.
So sorry, who are your grouping? It was
just any of the three guys, Scoot, Shaden, Simons. Scoot and Sharp are not going to project well. They're going to be bad. That's a little bit of a ball knower, as the end game boys would say.
Yeah. No, and that's exactly how I play NBA DFS, is like starting with some base level, like good projections. People that I trust your projections, but I know, like, looking at the projected ownership for this player, that player, that I want more than the field of this player. So I will, like, exactly like you said, like just give like a little bit of a boost, like a 1.5 fantasy point projection boost to that player. I think there are people who might argue that if you are like boosting one of them 2 minutes, then you need to take 2 minutes away from the others. And
Right.
that's not how I do it. So, because in my opinion, that makes sense within a single lineup, but like, I don't think it's wrong to, so like taking your suggestion, you would be overweight on all three of them. So you don't want to like boost one at the expense of the other. I don't know if you have other players that you would take out, but I don't really feel the need to do that across a portfolio, because there are
I
times
mean, I
where
don't
I'm
know.
like,
I guess you could take it from Delano Banton
yeah,
or something.
but like, I'm not making projections, so I don't think that I feel the need to do that. And so I guess the best example would be like, and maybe this isn't the like current example, but like there are times when you have Clint Capella, Onyeka Okongwu, and they were splitting
Right.
minutes for a while, like 24-24, but both had like, if something happens, like both are live to get 28 minutes, and suddenly they're going to be awesome values. So there are some slates where I want to take an overweight stance to both of them. So like, I would group it out so I wouldn't have them in the same lineup. I'd set a rule: don't have them both in the same lineup. But I don't mind having, 20 lineups where I'm assuming that Clint Capella plays 28 minutes, and then 20 other lineups where I'm assuming that Onyeka Okongwu plays 28 minutes, right? So like, I guess to me, I don't feel the need to take those minutes away from somebody else. So like, if you wanted to do like your suggestion of just like boost each of those guys by 1.5, I don't really feel the need to go through and like find somebody else to take it away from. For me personally, because I'm playing a portfolio of lineups like that again would make sense within a single lineup. You don't want to play them all together, but I think that is a case where like you could then set a rule, because you don't want to like then have them all necessarily in the same lineup. Just
Yeah,
thinking through like
I
how,
guess if you were going to boost them multiple points, you would want to make a rule max 2. I think there's really no scenario, and you can do in LineupHQ, you can do like conditionals too. So you can do like, if this lineup has Simons, then reduce Sharp a point or whatever.
do you know how to do that? I'm still learning LineupHQ. I've actually only used it for Showdown until recently. I've started using it some for NBA.
I do, but not well enough to
to direct me in
it.
5 minutes.
Yes,
Yeah.
if that makes sense. Like
Yeah.
it's one of those things, because I don't. The only thing I MME is NFL Showdown. Everything else, I'm a hand builder, phone shitter, bro.
Okay.
So it's I only know how to build them conditionally for NFL, but yeah, it actually was the coolest thing about the old Daily Roto Optimizer was the conditional group, the boosts. So it'd be like, if a lineup has Shaden Sharp, then -5 boost on Simons or whatever.
I always did that back when I was using Fantasy Cruncher. I would always set like, particularly for Showdown, like if I have this quarterback in the captain spot, give boost to his pass catchers, whatever. Yeah, I definitely like that boost feature. I have not figured out how to use it here yet, so that is something I've thought about. Like, I should do like a tutorial on how to use the optimizer, but I'm like, I don't really feel comfortable enough with it that I'm gonna like lead people in the best way to use it at this point. So maybe something that I need to do in the future. All right, so Blazers, you like any other hot takes for this slate? Looking through the games, we've got Houston, Minnesota, just a 1 point spread.
Vanderbilt feels terrible to me. Like, if he's like any degree of like if he is going to be
15% he's projected for.
It's like, what? It's like, again, maybe he can smash in limited minutes. Maybe he can do the Andre Drummond. He gets 11 and 10 in 20 minutes or whatever. But I don't think he's got very much minutes upside. Like, that's kind of how you end up smashing these value situations, is you read the tea leaves correctly on the minutes, and the projections are wrong. And so you look at the Lakers front court, like, well, they might just play Rui a ton, right? They might just, or they might, is Trey Jameson called up from the G League? He might not be. They might go really small. It's against Golden State, so they could go super small. They could do Dorian Finney-Smith, Rui, LeBron. I mean, they played LeBron at center before. It just feels they could play Austin Reeves at small forward in this matchup. What wing is punishing the Warriors tonight? I don't know if there is one, really.
Yeah.
Good call from Sam. Tumani Kamara plays the most minutes, but he is the lowest usage of those guys.
But maybe if he gets the Levine matchup, then
But maybe if he gets the Levine matchup, yeah,
that's a good call. I wholeheartedly agree on like And that's like classic bad chalk is like he's kind of a good value, but he's also like projects for sub 20 fantasy. Like that's usually the tell of like, this is not great chalk. If it's like, oh, he's sub 20 fantasy point projection because because he's like min priced, he's going to get into a lot of lineups. But like you said, it doesn't feel like there's a ton of upside. Obviously, fluky things happen where he could double in limited matchups, but that is kind of the classic bad chalk is like he projects pretty well point per minute, and we don't have a lot of great value on this slate, so it gets into some lineups. Whereas like Podziemski like actually has a ceiling here. Healed has a ceiling, look like much better chalk here. I would actually Kevon Looney like I think falls into okay. Like I'm okay with playing some Kevon Looney because he is capable of like he's probably not going to play 30 minutes, but he's just capable of like really putting up a big fantasy score even in limited minutes. So I don't think I would put him in the same bucket as Vanderbilt. Maybe a little bit closer. I don't know. How do you feel about Kevon Looney?
He definitely can have minutes upside because Kerr goes like in stages of being like, oh, I trust this guy, I don't trust this guy. And he also Looney is one of the kings of the put back miss. Miss. I like the
dream.
DeMarcus Cousins used to be the GOAT of that. But he is pretty, and like I mean you could see like Vanderbilt has been hurt and he is terrible.
Yeah. Easy fade on Vanderbilt. But yeah, I think Looney looks a little bit better. I actually have not looked closely at the injury report. That's probably another thing that I should look at for like, do we have any potentially emerging value? Actually, I guess we looked at the conditional projection and there wasn't much there. So probably not expecting a ton of emerging value at this point. Obviously, we're past the trade deadline, so not waiting on anything there. So we can probably just kind of play it straight up at this point. But Davis, I know you need to get out of here around now. So where can people find you? Where can people find your stuff? Are you going to be doing a lot more NBA content? What's your plans?
Yeah, basically once a week, whenever they do the Dog Bowl
Nice.
qualifiers, I will be streaming. I'll basically be hopping on, downloading unabated projections, doing a little bit of RNG, and then just talking through the slate. Everyone, you can come get in my lobbies and get the soft action. Neil, I'm gonna head out of here. Thank you for having me, brother. And I will chat with you soon, man.
Sounds good. Thanks, Davis.
Later, dude.
All right, later. All right, let me see if I can adjust my camera slightly here. All right. I think I can do it. There, that'll be a little bit better. You can't see it yet. There we go. All right. Boom. Wait, you can't see it yet. Save as new layout. That did not work. Okay. That works. That looks better. All right. So I'm going to continue going position by position. I will take a look at both the Unabated and Rotogrinders projections, see what they say as far as the best plays overall, top projected plays, and also top point per dollar plays on the slate. Kind of look through, see if there anything stands out. We started this show early because I did not realize that the slate does not actually lock until 6:30 Central Time tonight, 7:30 Eastern. So we have plenty of time before this slate starts. I'm probably not going to go all the way to lock. We'll see. I do have some lineups that I need to make. Maybe I'll make them on the stream here. But I'm going to start at point guard. So we're going to go and point guard. I'll start by, well, we have it sorted currently by top point per dollar plays at point guard. And as you can see, Podziemski is one of the top overall values on the slate. He is both point guard and shooting guard eligible. Also getting 49.5% projected ownership according to Shot Quality. Actually, I want to see what the RG, do they have a different number there for, they have them at 75% projected ownership. That is pretty high. And that's also a big difference, 75% versus 49%. I'm just going to go keep Shot Quality in there just because it's a little bit more muted. Reset that. Huh. I don't know what just happened there. Maybe that's just the update is 75% for both. All right, so 75% projected ownership for pods. I don't know. That doesn't seem that bad to me. Like he has some floor, but I think his floor is probably 20. Like it'd be pretty surprising if he gets lower than that. So I think pods obviously looks like a very strong point guard play. Peyton Pritchard in there. Who do we have out for Boston? Look that up. And now I'm gonna have to remember like who got traded and is not going to show up on the injury report. Drew Holiday out. Okay. So that is why Peyton Pritchard making it in there, looking like a pretty strong value. Go back to the optimizer. So Pritchard, again, 27 fantasy points, 4,800 looks pretty good and only getting 19% versus pods getting 75%. Only projects 4 fantasy points worse, and he's only $400 more expensive. So that seems like pretty good, like a pretty good pivot off of pods. Shake Milton, 3,100. That's another classic, like projects well point per dollar because he is only 3,100, but only projects for 17 fantasy points. Don't see a ton of upside there in just 20 minutes projection. James Harden, strong point per dollar. Anthony Simons, as you may have heard, Davis a big fan of Anthony Simons, only projected for 16.5% ownership. Looks like a pretty strong play. We're going to see some fireworks with Steph before Jimmy Butler shows up. He's reinvigorated. Maybe Steph going to show up in Los Angeles. Project for 33 minutes, 42 fantasy points. Seems pretty good at 8,200. Honestly, I kind of like Steph there. He's getting 19.5% ownership, so that's not nothing. Derek White again, probably some extra minutes upside with no Jrue Holiday. Kyrie Irving, revenge. I think somebody was pointing out, I think Steven was in chat talking about Kyrie in Boston. I don't remember what he said. I know data does not account for this, but Kyrie has not done well versus Boston since leaving there. I mean, it's tough to do well against Boston. So that might just be the issue is just Boston really good defensively. So I don't know if it's a Kyrie specific thing against Boston. Do they get in his head? I'm not sure. Since he left. Ant, second leg of a back-to-back, put up 49 last night. Looked pretty exhausted to me at the end of that game when he's missing all of those shots, but he's young. He can recover quickly. Projected for nearly 49 fantasy points at 9,700. Looks pretty good. Amin Thompson again. I agree with Davis. I'm always kind of interested in playing some Amin Thompson. He's 8,400 price tag. I think that's been moving up just slowly. Actually, can we see that here? Where's the price tag? Maybe it doesn't show here. Where is this? That's fantasy points. Yeah. Moving up slowly, but well deserved. You can see the outputs here. 64 fantasy points just 2 games ago. Not a great matchup with the Timberwolves, but still looks strong enough. Malik Monk. Now I'm going to sort by. I think Malik Monk actually looks pretty good here. 7,700, 37 fantasy points. I'm going to sort by fantasy points now. So Ant is the top projected scorer overall at point guard. He's also 9,700. James Harden, number 2. Nice matchup with the Pacers, who I believe are still playing at like the one of the fastest paces in the league. Actually, let me pull that up here. Obviously, should be accounted for in the team totals. Yeah, 6th fastest pace in the league. I think that's actually come down a little bit. I want to see if we just go to like last 10 games. They're 9th over the past 10 games, so I think they've slipped a little bit in terms of pacing, but actually still 101. So not a bad pace there for the Pacers. All right. Kind of already talked about all of the top projected here. Austin Reeves, not the best point per dollar at 8,300, kind of priced up. 12% ownership. See if there's anybody standing out as far as being contrarian. Not really. Halliburton looks okay at 8,100. He's been pretty good recently, right? not counting the last game, but prior to that, 40.75, 42.5, 54, 48. So relative to this price tag, he's been putting up some scores you'd really want. A lot of volatility here. 15.7 against Cleveland. That's kind of that's a tough matchup, obviously. San Antonio, I think, is sort of a tough matchup. So he's done fairly fairly well in better matchups. But yeah, a lot of volatility in the fantasy points for Halliburton. I kind of like it for, 8% ownership at 8,100. I think that looks like a pretty strong play. Yeah, Pods is the chalk. Scoot coming in at 0.5% ownership. He's 6,600. Projected for 27 minutes. Is there volatility there? Yeah, 27 seems right. Played 32 against Orlando. So that's the tough thing with Scoot Henderson is just, man, it's tough to get there if you're only playing 27 minutes and you are fairly expensive. He had the nice game again against Orlando, but that's the only game that you really want to have recently. Go back to the 18th and 19th of January. He was playing bigger minutes, put up some nice games there. I don't know. That's tough unless you can get a little bit spiking upside with the minutes. Mike Conley, I gotta say, I played a lot of Mike Conley last night. I was pretty disappointed that he didn't play the final 7 minutes of the game because he had 28 fantasy points, was doing fine, but looked like he was potentially going to smash. Could have gotten a double at the end there. Did not get there. Second leg of a back-to-back. I don't know. I'm not expecting a ton for Mike Conley. I wonder if we see more of Jalen Clark again. I think he played 16 minutes or so last night. Is he out? Huh. Not on the injury report, but not showing up in the projections. I don't know. But maybe we see some more of Dillingham with second leg of a back-to-back. Only projected for 16 minutes, but I wouldn't be that shocked to see Dillingham get a little bit of a boost with Conley playing 26, 27 minutes last night. Sort of intriguing for a large field GPP at 1% ownership. Anyway, I'm going to move on. Actually, so we've looked primarily at Unabated. Let's take a brief look at RG projections, just see if anything stands out as being different with the RG projections for point guards. It's still Ant at the top, James Harden. So let me reset this, make sure these are right. Okay, we're good. Ant, Harden, Kyrie, Curry. And the ownership projections we don't have unabated ownership projections, so those are no different. But maybe I'll sort by, I want to see if any of the value looks a little bit different. Sort by point per dollar. Yeah, so it's still Podziemski at the top, Peyton Pritchard projected for 30 minutes. Seems strong. Seems like pretty strong. Strong play there. Yeah, no huge differences as far as the top values for RG versus unabated here. All right. Almond Thompson, 38 minutes projection. Yeah, Scoot, again, just 27 minutes. All right. I'm going to look at shooting guards. And I'm sorted by the top point per dollar here. Paul and Boats has thoughts on Pickett if no Murray. He's 3,000. Pickett. It's a good question for Jalen Pickett. So he's projecting for 14 minutes. Actually, I can look at that. Let me look at the unabated conditional projections for Murray being out. So that's the perfect use of this. And I'll just read it off to you. So I'm going to go conditional projections, Jamal Murray out. Can I download those? Let's see. All right, let me see. See if I can figure out how to do this. So if we have Jamal Murray out. I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to do this. I thought I had downloaded for that scenario. Okay, let's see. All right. Can I see them? Can I pull them up on the screen? Unabated projections plus conditional projections. But I don't think I can download those. I'm going to have to ask somebody how to actually see the. You can see how the props change, but I don't know how to actually look at the projections here. Out. But he projects pretty well already, so I would imagine Pickett's going to look like a really strong value if Jamal Murray is out. He's projected for what, 14 minutes? I mean, it doesn't project well. He projects for 8 fantasy points in 14 minutes. So I guess not the strongest point per minute producer. If he's projecting for 14 minutes, still projected. So you double that, give him 28 minutes. He's still projecting for just 16 fantasy points. So I guess I think he'd probably be pretty thin, even if Jamal Murray is out. Just because doesn't appear to be a very strong fantasy point per minute producer. Where is that? This is easier for me when I'm on my other computer. I can just kind of see all this stuff. But yeah, I mean, he scored 11.5 in 12 minutes the other day. But yeah, for the most part, just looking through here, that appears to be about right. Just not a very strong per minute producer. So yeah, I think he'd be a fairly thin play regardless. Just have this nice game against Phoenix where he played 23 minutes and actually put up a nice score there, but I don't think so. I think I'd still probably not be. I mean, if he's contrarian enough, like sure, I guess. If you really need a contrarian play at $3,000, but yeah, it doesn't appear like he would be like some awesome value, even if we get Jamal Murray out. All right, shooting guards. We're sorted by value here. It is, and we're using RG right now. Pods, Healed, two of the top values on the entire slate. Peyton Pritchard, strong value also. I'm going to scroll this back over. Norm Powell, 6,900, projecting for 36, nearly 37 fantasy points. Another strong value, great matchup with the Pacers, getting 19% ownership. That feels about fair. Seems like a lot of. Oh, I misread it. Never mind. I was going to say it looks like a lot of ownership going to Jaylen Brown, but no, he's only projecting for 19% ownership. Like, that's probably fair. Chris Dunn doesn't look like the best chalk to me. I mean, 12%, not especially chalky, but not like the best value play because he's only, projected for 22 minutes, 16 fantasy points. Going to get into some optos because he projects pretty well point per dollar, but not the strongest play there. Jalen Green looks okay to me. 35 minutes, 35 fantasy points, just 7% projected ownership. You could do worse than that. Actually, Derek White, just 7% ownership looks like a pretty strong play. Christian Braun, he's been crushing it lately. 5,500. I mean, he's been paying off that price tag pretty regularly. And you kind of wonder if it is just better role recently relative to earlier in the season. I mean, look at three games in the past 7 where he's put up 3 games in the past 6 where he's put up 46 or more fantasy points. He's just 5,500. So I think the ownership pretty reasonable there. Wide range of outcomes, as you can just see looking at his most recent games. Not a great matchup with the Magic, but yeah, seems like a strong enough play there. If he's really only going to get 10% ownership, I like that. Zach LaVine making his debut. I don't know, 7,900. What's he going to do on the Kings? Is he going to be? I wouldn't think he's going to get more usage on the Kings, but maybe in his first game, they let him chuck it a bit. Seems okay. Not a great play, but sub 4% ownership. I don't hate it. Clay projected for 28 minutes, 5,100. Clay can get hot, so I don't hate the idea of. I think I want to be above weight to 2.5% Clay, I guess is what I'll say. Like, I think that seems like a low number for a player that can just get hot and put up. I mean, he put up 30 fantasy points in the first quarter a week or 2 ago. Like, he's capable of that, and he's only 5,100. Obviously, a tough matchup with Boston, but you know they're trying to win. They traded away Luka. Which is not a win now move, but also like they want to prove that they're not idiots. Like, this is, I think Dallas gonna be playing Clay as many minutes as he can handle. So if that's 28, I think I'll make that bet. Get hot one time. Nickeil Alexander-Walker also could benefit if we see Conley a little bit more limited on the second leg of a back-to-back. I don't think he was even on the injury report. So I'm like thinking that he could be, but I guess they limited his minutes enough yesterday. But I doubt Conley plays big minutes. So again, I think could see a little bit of a bump. Shaden Sharp, another player that Davis kind of liked, but also he's 6,100. These Blazers are kind of expensive. All right. Any other? Actually, let's take a look at the injury report real quickly. Anthony Davis is questionable. Man, yeah, you're gonna be forced to play some of their guys big minutes. All right. Looks like a lot of the same. Aaron Gordon questionable. Jamal Murray questionable. Yeah, we I guess we talked about that. We've got Peyton Watson out. Interesting. Golden State. Nobody questionable. So it's kind of know what's going on there. Oh. Wiggins already. Oh, yeah, right. Trade pending. That's right. Oh, I didn't realize Luka was already ruled out. Made him the cover for this thumbnail, and he's already ruled out. LeBron's probable. All right. So we don't have a ton on the injury report, which I guess we already knew because I looked at the unabated conditional projections. Didn't see much there. All right. So let's continue on shooting guard. And I'll just sort by projection. And to the top again, Jaylen Brown, Austin Reeves, Malik Monk. I think we've talked about all of these players already. So I'm going to move on. Small forward. Move the sidebar. There we go. All right. So at small forward, and I'm going to sort by. Yeah, I already have it sorted by fantasy points, so we'll start here. It is Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown, the top at small forward. Franz Wagner against Denver, 34 minutes. Only 11% projected ownership for Franz. That's kind of interesting to me. I kind of like Franz at 11% ownership. Kawhi, 28 minutes. Could put up a big number here. I guess he's getting enough ownership. Not super contrarian. Denny Avdia. Yeah, Avdia looks like a pretty strong play. 17% ownership. Feels fair, honestly. Not standing out as a great contrarian play. Jaden McDaniels, man, the price tag keeps going up. Harder and harder to play him. 6,500. I don't know that I can do it. I played a little bit last night. That's a tough price tag for Jaden. Kamara, we already talked about. Somebody mentioned him earlier, but yeah, he's 6,000. Could certainly spike an upside. 34 minutes, just sub 5% ownership. Kamara looks like a fairly strong contrarian play. Somebody I'll probably give a little bit of a bump to. Keegan Murray looks like a strong play at 5,000. Project for 35 minutes. I mean, just project for a 5x value, but single digit ownership looks strong enough. Dante Exum, I don't know if he's going to get the start again with so many players out, but he has not been playing minutes. I don't know what happened against Cleveland where they played him 15 minutes in the first half. I thought there was upside to his minutes, and then he came back down to 19 in that last one. Still 23 fantasy points at 4,000 would be okay. Oh, got to refresh this. All right, so these are the RG projections. I'm going to sort by points per dollar. So Rui is the top as far as point per dollar plays at small forward. 29 fantasy points at 5,300. Looks pretty good here. 34-minute projection. Just 18% ownership. That feels pretty fair for Rui when you can play him small forward or power forward. MPJ coming off a big game last night, 6,400. Looks okay. We might have Jamal Murray out, so we could see more usage for Michael Porter. Yeah, we've talked about most of these players. Yeah, I think Franz looks like a pretty strong, fairly contrarian play. Christian Braun looks strong at that ownership number. Brown, I should say. I'm calling him Braun, but his name is actually Brown. I'm going to compare now to the unabated projections. See if anything stands out as different. So Rui, the top point per dollar here. And the top point, not a lot of huge changes here. Let me re-sort. So still Rui at the top. Dorian Finney-Smith looks a lot better in the unabated projections. Project for 30 minutes, just 20 fantasy points. He could see even more minutes. So I don't totally hate, like, this is right on the border of, like, is this just a bad value? But, like, not terribly chalky at 11%. I think there is upside for more minutes for DFS. So I don't hate that. Debating what I think of DeMar DeRozan at 6,700 seems like a pretty fair price. Portland, I don't think has been like a great matchup. Let's see. So in terms of pace over the past 10 games, third worst pace for Portland. Defensive rating, the best defensive rating in the league over the past 10 games. So yeah, really tough spot against Portland. All right. Going to move on to power forward. Unfortunately, we don't have much in terms of, like, if-thens, like players potentially being out. So power forward, and this is sorted by unabated top point per dollar projections. Jared Vanderbilt again at the top. I don't think it's particularly great chalk. I think I want to get away from Jared Vanderbilt at 13%. Not so chalky that like I despise it. It's not like he's getting 40% because of the lack of value, but I don't know. Even at 13%, could he play more than 21 minutes? Let's see. He has not since he's come back from injury. No, I guess not the second night of a back-to-back. I don't know. I don't think there's enough minutes upside for him to put up a big score here. Naz Reid just 6,300. Naz can get hot and put up 50. So I kind of like Naz, but he's getting 22% ownership, so not really standing out. Al Horford, he had a big game last night, right? Yeah, 33 fantasy points last night against Cleveland. But it's kind of his upside. He's not really going to play more minutes than he's being projected at, I don't think. Surprised more of these players are not on the injury report. Some of these players who played, I guess they didn't play last night. That was 2 nights ago. But this is less of a chaotic slate than I was kind of anticipating with the trade deadline today. Thought there'd be more players, more benefiting, getting more value from some of the trades today, and we're really not. Tari Eason again looks like a pretty strong play here. Could just spike an upside. 28-minute projection, 27 fantasy points at 5,200. So he projects like a pretty strong point per dollar projection. But then there's always just some upside to it. Two of the past 3 games, 29 fantasy points. Put up a 40 burger on Portland in a tough matchup. And you just look at like past years. He's just a guy that can spike a big upside. Getting just 8% ownership at 5,200. So I kind of like Tari Eason, even in a tough matchup with the Wolves. Aaron Gordon is questionable in a revenge game against Orlando. Paolo's kind of interesting. Just sub 6% ownership for Paolo Banchero against Denver. They've been paying at I think a pretty fast pace. 11th in pace over the past 10 games. Bad defensive rating. 23rd in defensive rating over the past 10 games for Denver. So yeah, Paolo looks like a really strong play to me. Just from he projects right at 5x value, but then there's certainly room for upside there, and he's just getting sub 6% ownership. Gui Santos. Yeah, the Lakers don't look as good as I mean, I guess some of the top values are Lakers. What am I talking about? Two of the top 3. No, they're Warriors. Yeah, we don't have. Do we have much great Lakers value? Vanderbilt is up there. Shake Milton, but they're just not great value. Rui's up there. So I guess there is, in terms of like point per dollar, they do have some strong plays. I just don't love their value. Like they're all kind of, DFS looks like Shake Milton, no thanks. Jared Vanderbilt, not that interested. So they do project pretty well point per dollar. They're just not the most intriguing value options on the Lakers. All right, I'm going to move to power forward. Did I already do power forward? Yeah, we talked about Vanderbilt, Reed. Okay, we did. Going to move my sidebar down. Actually, I'll take a look at Rotogrinders at power forward also. See if the projections differ at all. So first for unabated, just to orient ourselves, unabated top point per dollar plays are Jared Vanderbilt, Naz Reid, Al Horford, Rui, DFS. Switch over to RG. They don't look as strong at power forward point per dollar. LeBron James is the top point per dollar play for RG at power forward, followed by Rui, Naz Reid. A lot of the same names, kind of out of order. Vanderbilt Al Horford. So yeah, it is a lot of the same names, but kind of shows you how bad the value is when LeBron James is the top point per dollar value at 10,800. But LeBron looks like a really strong value here, projecting for 35% ownership, just under 60 fantasy points at 10,800. See the I guess we have Joker on this slate also probably projects better, but let's see. Yeah, Joker projects just barely better than LeBron, and LeBron power forward eligibility helps. I would assume. Haven't really looked at the centers yet, but a lot of strong options. I like LeBron. Tatum looks like a strong-ish value. I mean, projects 10 fantasy points worse than LeBron. He's also $1,000 cheaper. Paolo, I think, looks really strong. Siakam, 10% ownership, kind of intriguing. MPJ looks good again. Jeremy Grant, projecting for 5% ownership at 5,600. Played 41 minutes 2 games ago. What happened to him? I feel like he was a better fantasy producer last year, 2 years ago. He's not that old, is he? I'm trying to remember when Jeremy Grant came. Maybe he is now. Maybe he is getting up there. Sneaks up on you. But still playing pretty big minutes, just not putting up big fantasy scores at a price tag that I'm like sort of intrigued. Price tag and ownership number. Got Zach LaVine on the team now. Maybe better matchup against Sacramento. All right. And then move to center. I'm going to sort by point per dollar. Kevon Looney, the top point per dollar play on the slate per, what do we have in here? RG at the moment. Quentin Post, the number 2 for Golden State. Project for 23 minutes at 3,800, 21 and a half fantasy points. What did he play last night? Played 24 minutes last night. I'm not really familiar with Quentin Post's game. Nice name for a big man, Post. 19, 20, and 24 minutes over the past 3 games. Putting up better than a fantasy point per minute. Is that what he's projected for? No, 23 minutes, 21 fantasy points. Been playing well, though. Lakers, I mean, who will they be starting? Jackson Hayes again. Okay. Yeah, Hayes looks like a pretty strong bet again against Kevon Looney and Quentin Post. Pretty good game for Hayes last time out. 20, I guess just 25 in 23 minutes. Didn't really get, I kind of thought he would get more minutes than this against the Clippers with AD out of there. Only played 23. Looks okay. Not a great slate for a ton of great value, which I guess is why we're getting pods at 75% projected ownership. That seems like too much to me, but we don't have much. Kristaps looks pretty good here. Another revenge game here, 7,500, projecting for 40 and a half fantasy points. Pretty strong value there. Only center eligible, the one downside, but yeah, seems like a good enough bet. What is Kristaps' minutes upside? 34 last time out. Okay. I guess that's against Cleveland. You kind of need big bodies there. But he's being projected for 30. He's hit over that in 3 of the past 4. Damn, that game against Chicago. What is the spread there? 12-point spread. It's in Boston. Still, I think Kristaps looks like a pretty strong play, but 18% ownership. DeAndre Ayton projects for about 5x value. Looks okay. Miles Turner, just kind of always a lot of volatility to his game. He's projecting for about 5x, 6,200, just under 31 fantasy points, just 6% ownership. He's always one of those guys you can get him at fairly low ownership, and then he'll randomly spike a 50 burger. Turner looks okay. Pretty strong value. Şengün kind of interesting. Tough matchup, obviously, but Şengün's kind of always interesting, and he's only 3% projected ownership. 34 minutes against Brooklyn on the 4th. Played 34 against Boston. I mean, tough matchup with Portland, put up 57. Yeah, Şengün, I mean, whenever you can get Şengün at low ownership, I think it's a good idea to do so. And looks like he's going to come in at low ownership tonight. So that looks like a really, really strong play, even in a tough matchup with the Wolves. I think Şengün looks pretty great because if he gets the minutes, he's just a great fantasy point per minute producer. Joker, similar. Anytime you get Joker at 3%, looks pretty strong. So it does look like a pretty good like pay up to be contrarian at center slate. Goga getting 24 minutes projection. All right, I'm going to look at the unabated projections here at center. So unabated fantasy point per dollar. It is Kevon Looney at the top, Naz Reid number 2. Zubac's looking a lot better for unabated. 32 minutes, 40 fantasy points. He's getting 25% ownership, so not particularly contrarian. Maybe I just missed him on the look when I was looking at RG projections. Quentin Post, 23 minutes, 21 fantasy points. So pretty similar both places. I don't know. He's played pretty well from a like fantasy point per minute. I guess OKC, you can see this is what ruins him. 8 minutes, -1 fantasy points against OKC. But otherwise, most games he's doing really well from a point per minute perspective. So if he could spike 24 minutes, who says he can't put up 35 fantasy points in 24 minutes? Obviously not the projection, but put up 32.75 in 19 minutes against Chicago. Obviously, that's like an ideal matchup. 15% ownership. I don't know. I think he's okay. Okay, chalk. I would not put him in the bucket of like no upside chalk. I think he's better than that. Jackson Hayes almost feels like he's being projected at his minute ceiling at 26 minutes. Was he in foul trouble or anything? I don't see it on this page. I don't remember if Jackson Hayes was in foul trouble in the last game. DQ says he likes Austin Reeves. I mean, he's not getting crazy high ownership, right? %10 ownership. Projects a little bit worse than 5x value, but yeah, certainly seems okay to me on a slate without great value. Golden State, obviously no Jimmy Butler tonight. Not starting yet. Yeah, Reeves looks okay. I don't think I have anything else. I think we looked at it all. Any other players you want to look at? If anybody has anybody they want me to look at the projections, compare projections, whatever, happy to do so. Otherwise, I am probably going to get out of here momentarily. I don't think we're waiting on any big news or anything. Luka targeting Monday for Lakers debut. Steven Adams ruled out. Anthony Davis ruled out. Yeah, I don't see any big news that has come out or that we're expecting here. I might just do one show next week on Thursday. Maybe I'll find time to do more. I'm going to have a guest for the show next Thursday, partially because I doesn't really feel like the right time for me to fully launch into NBA because the All-Star break is coming up, and then I'm going to Cancun immediately after the All-Star break ends. So I don't want to like get into the cycle and then just have to start over. So I'm kind of just puttering through it, kind of getting things set up, looking through the unabated stuff, trying to get my, my feet under me as far as doing NBA content again, but not going to start doing it regularly until I'm back from Cancun, which will be at the end of February. But I've got a great guest coming up next Thursday, so looking forward to that one. Maybe I'll do another show between now and then also. We'll see if I have the time to do so. Obviously, I'll be doing on this channel a Super Bowl show. Currently just planning on doing the show prior to the Super Bowl on Sunday is the only thing that I have planned currently, because I've done it for every showdown slate just prior to lock. I might do it a little bit earlier for this one because I'm going out to a friend's house to watch the game. So I might do it more than 90 minutes in advance of the Super Bowl. I also don't think we're expecting much in terms of inactives there. Jameson says, "Yo, Neil, you get my message last night?" No, where did you send me a message? Is that in Discord, on Twitter? Let me know. Let me know where you sent it. I don't know if I've checked everywhere. I don't think that I've looked on like Discord DMs today. Oh yeah, if you're still watching the show, I should note Flannelverse does have a Discord fun group. Oh, you sent it on DraftKings? I know I didn't even know you could receive messages on DraftKings. I'll look for it, Jameson. But if I can figure out how to respond to you, I will do so on DraftKings. Otherwise, if you don't hear from me, message me on Discord or Twitter, somewhere else where I do know how to receive and respond to messages. I assume I'll be able to figure it out though. But there is a Flannelverse Discord. You can find the link in the description of this video. If you I would appreciate if you subscribe to the channel. I'm not going to get to 5,000 subscribers by the Super Bowl. I've given up on that goal, but maybe 4,500 before Sunday, before the end of the day. If you could help me get there, I would appreciate it. Still, obviously, hoping to get to 5,000 by the end of the year. Sooner rather than later would be great. So, yeah, if you're watching this, you're not already subscribed, would appreciate the support. Of course, liking the video, always helpful. And also, Flannelverse Discord, if you just want to hang out with people. I'll be doing a lot of best ball content on this channel, more NBA content to come on this channel. So yeah, give a like and subscribe. Yeah, you're right. I was at the top of the mini max just briefly last night. Didn't seem particularly likely to hold ever, and then just kind of went completely awry by the end of it. I've been enjoying those. It's actually my first time regularly playing the mini max. I've just started, excuse me, over the past couple weeks, and I'm not trying to max out the big contests anymore. So it's been kind of fun to get back to my MME roots, and I've had some sweats, have not really had anything happen yet in the few times that I have maxed it out, but it's a lot of fun. I enjoy maxing stuff out, and I've obviously got great tools to help me do so. So I'll be back in the mini max streets tonight. Maybe I'll see you there, Jameson. All right. Oh, and if you are interested in repping the Flannelverse, you can find that in the Discord. Also, the Flannelverse avatar. I know you, Jameson, you recognize me at the top, probably because of that Flannelverse avatar. I'm realizing there's one thing that I have not done, which is I have not tried to make a lineup on this slate, and I'll do it just right here in using LineupHQ. So I'm just gonna quickly make some lineups in LineupHQ. And currently, I have unabated projections in there. I have not made any adjustments to their projections or anything. So if I just run unencumbered right now, build 10 lineups, it's going to give me just the top projected lineups using unabated projections. And this, the top lineup uses the full salary cap. So this would be the cash lineup currently per the unabated projections. And, using the full salary, projecting for 285 fantasy points. But again, I like to, when I'm setting my rules and stuff, I would rather use the Rotogrinders. Since I'm using RG ownership projections, I would rather also use their regular projections because they're going to affect each other. So I'm going to try to rerun it using the RG projections. And let's see if it lets me do it without making a change. Nope. So they make me, because I'm using RG projections, they say you need to make at least 2 changes to the pool. So I can't just run it. So I'm going to run 10 more lineups, see what comes out. Looks pretty different, pretty different for the optimal here. A lot of overlap. Obviously, I know we had Podziemski, we had LeBron, Zubac was in there. I think Naz Reid was in there. I don't think Quentin Post was in the other optimal. Actually, I can just look right here. Yeah, Quentin Post was not in the unabated optimal, is in the RG optimal. A lot of overlap between the two, but so now you can see the ownership a little bit higher in RG's optimal because I'm using RG's projections here and ownership projections. Fantasy point wise projects a little bit worse. So now if I were to start building now, what I would do is go into the rules. You can see, okay, the optimal lineup projects for 281.5. I probably want all my lineups to score within about 10 fantasy points of that. Oh, and I'm realizing I don't know how to actually do this in the build rules. Set a minimum fantasy points threshold for the entire lineup. I need to talk to somebody about whether that is something that I could do. Let's see. Give my lineups at least. Nope. Yeah, I don't know how to do it. So I'd like to set a rule that says minimum of projection of 270, but I don't know how to do it currently in LineupHQ. Still learning this opto. You can see my lineups here. So because the top optimal projects for 281.5, I would probably just set it. I'd round it to 270. I don't want to be too strict. And then I probably set a rule in terms of ownership. So this one projects for 233.31. So now if I just go to, I'm going to set a cap on the ownership. You can do that in build rules by going to max total lineup ownership. Maybe I'll set it at 210 and see what that looks like. Do these lineups project well enough? So now if I do this, 210. Yeah, so this one still projects well enough. I'm guessing it's gonna run out pretty quickly if I set more rules there. And again, if you're not familiar with how optimizers work, when you just run it, all it wants to do is it's programmed to just give you the top projected lineup with the projection source that you're using. So these lineups are just the top projected lineups for you using the RG current projections. And then every change you make, every setting, every rule that you impose on it, your lineups are going to project a little bit worse. So if I put a little bit of randomness on, your lineup's probably going to project. I mean, you could still get one that's going to project at the highest, but in general, your lineups are going to project a little bit worse because players that project have a worse mean projection are going to jump other players that project a little bit worse in some of those lineups because the randomness going to add some volatility to their lineup. So your lineups will project a little bit worse. So you set a cap on like the number of players per team. You're going to limit the down the line, maybe not in your first few lineups, but you're going to limit the projection there as well. Everything you do kind of limits the projection, but still can make the upside of the lineup better. So I'll set some rules here. And typically I like to do, so you can set a max total ownership here. I will add a little bit of randomness here. Number of unique players, I'm going to bring that up to 2. I usually do 2 or 3. I usually don't do anything with salary, but probably not a bad idea to set it, a minimum of 49,400 or so. And then See what happens when I do 150 lineups. So again, it was 281.5. Let's see if I do 150, are they all going to be within 10 fantasy points or so? Not necessarily. I added some randomness. I set some rules. I actually don't think I set a max players per team. Usually I'll set like max of 3 for any one team. I don't believe I have done that yet. I don't know if it'll be an issue on this slate. Maybe with the Lakers or the Warriors. First time I get to 3 Warriors, but I'm okay with that. So yeah, you can see this one still projects for 276, 275. What do we sort? Oh, we're sorted by, okay, so we're sorted by total projection here. So I'll scroll down to see if, did I get to any in this 150 set that would not be within 10 or so. Where is the bar here? I can't see. I want to grab it, but I can't see where the, all right, so we're down to lineup 100, still projects for 272. So I think we're going to be, oh, here it is. The 150th lineup projects for 267. So this one is kind of borderline whether this one projects well enough. So maybe I would want to set a rule, a minimum fantasy point projection. It's also projecting for just 187% ownership. So that's come down a little bit. We've got Jackson Hayes in there at 7.5% ownership, Franz Wagner at 9%. But we're also getting to 99% Brandon Podziemski in these lineups. So I would probably make some adjustments in terms of fantasy point projection, stuff like that, to get a little bit less than 99%. As great as he looks, I don't think he's a stone lock on this slate. I don't think we have a stone lock on this slate. So I would probably set some rules or change the projection, just get a little bit less. Let's see, build rules. All right. But I'm going to get out of here. Just want to play around with the opto a little bit, see what some of these lineups look like. Brandon says Pods is a stone lock. I mean, that's fair. If you think he is, if you want to lock him into 150 lineups, I think like if I were playing a single entry, I would play him, to be clear. But in a 150 set, I'm not sure if I see him as a full stone lock. Like he projects really well. I don't know. He's pretty close. So I won't disagree with you on that too much. Pretty damn close to a stone lock. I'm looking at some other things here to see. Yeah. Yeah, he projects. I mean, the 75% ownership seems pretty on par with the industry. And that's probably about reasonable. That's probably about where I want to be. Like I think I just don't want him to make or break my slate. But and what's the total here? We're not too worried about a huge blowout. Yeah, he's pretty close at 4,400. If he were 3,000, I'd probably just lock him in. But 4,400, it's like, I don't know, if he just has an off night shooting. Like he's not. Where is he? Where are his rebounding numbers here? Rebound and assist numbers. I kind of want to see some of the. Oops. Here we go. Gotta scroll over. I see. Like he's a fine rebounder, but like he needs to hit his shots. Fine with assists, but he's not getting it done when he's not putting up real points. So if he just has an off shooting night, I think he could fail or like could put up a score that like you'd rather not have him. But obviously, like most likely he's playing huge minutes. Probably not going to miss. Like if he shoots, he had 18 field goal attempts last night. He's probably not going to go 2 for 18. So he's a very strong play. I don't know that I would go as far as calling him a lock. I also like am not usually one to lock players in. So I guess maybe that's I'm a little bit more conservative with considering players a lock. But yeah, he's obviously a fantastic play. All right, well, we've got about half an hour before the slate locks. make sure you get those lineups in. I am gonna get out of here, make some lineups. I'll be doing an NFL show later tonight as a guest on Dylan Schmittler's channel. You'll probably be able to find that on Twitter if you're interested. Otherwise, again, I'll be back for the Super Bowl. I think that's the next time I'll be here. I have to get the typhoid vaccine tomorrow during the time that I would be doing a show. We've had to, because I'm going to Cancun, I've got to get the typhoid vaccine. So I will not be doing a show on this channel tomorrow. I think the next one will be the Super Bowl. I'll see you then. Thank you. Good luck to you as well, OA. Good luck to everybody else. Let's win some money tonight on DraftKings. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you guys later.